Hello, everyone. So, I come to you this morning on January 23rd, the year of our Lord 2024, at roughly 4:30 a.m. to bring to you an important message that must be heard in all circles in America. And this, I don't care if you're liberal, conservative, moderate, libertarian, I don't care what you are, this is an important message that you need to hear. America is on its last legs, and if 2024 does not pan out correctly, this country is done for. I say that like with a lot of despair. And our country is legitimately like if we don't choose wisely this year, we're screwed. Donald Trump is running on a platform that will put America first. He is putting putting up a platform that will stop illegal immigration dead in its tracks, that will return American industry, and that will get the economy growing back to where it was, and will put American families first, something a president has not done probably since Eisenhower. However, we stand at a crossroads. Our country is at a crossroads between nationalism and globalism. If we lose in 2024 and another 4 years of Democrat Party control is hoisted upon us, this country will succumb to the global powers that be in Davos and China. Our European friends appear to have gotten this message as we've seen the elections of people like Geert Wilders and Giorgia Meloni, as well as other far right leaders, well, quote unquote far right leaders, as well as other right wing populist leaders such as Viktor Orban winning an astounding re election campaign in 2022. However, America does not seem to get the message. Where the populist wave started with the election of Trump in 2016 appears to be dying out. Voters are too intimidated by Donald Trump because he's mean or he's a potential extremist, whatever that means. However, I beg you, America, please choose wisely. Our country is being poisoned by illegal immigration. Thousands of illegal immigrants pour across the border every single day, forever changing the demographics of the United States of America for the worse. And the worst part is, these people are undocumented. These people do not file census reports. These people do not do anything to contribute to society. And they take jobs out of the hands of American workers in the manufacturing and construction industries, as well as the agricultural industries. Illegal immigration, if we don't reverse course right now, this year, and next year, if we don't reverse course severely this decade and deport everybody we've taken in these past 3 years, this country will never be the same. Because these people, the moment they cross into America, have 4 to 5 children, while American families are only having one or two, if none, if any at all. And as a result, America's demographics are changing rapidly. If we don't reverse our course on this, America will just become a new United Mexican States, filled with corruption and crime, as if we already aren't already. It will be nothing like you've ever seen. Rural states like North Dakota will become just as bad as places like Chihuahua in Mexico. Each day, our economy continues to crumble. The cost of living has risen by a centerfold in America. It is no longer feasible for most young people to purchase a home or to ever achieve the dream of home ownership. What was once available to our grandfathers and grandmothers to purchase nice homes in the suburbs or even in the city for a low price and still be able to afford it on one income with 3 kids, that is no more. The days of single income households being affluent are gone. The days of the nuclear family are on its last legs. The price of gas has risen also by more than a centerfold, going from an average of 2.70 a gallon during the Trump administration to over 3.50 a gallon during the Biden administration. And while the price of gas has become more of a talking point among the Republican Party, it is a big driver behind the serious amount of inflation we see today. It's also driven by out of control government spending. If we let the Biden administration into the White House for a second term, if we re-elect the Biden administration, inflation will run out of control as the central bank continues to print ridiculous amounts of money, which sinks our economy and ruins the economy for our future children. Our youth, speaking of our children, our youth are being poisoned by hypersensitive and hyper overstimulating videos on platforms like TikTok, as well as other platforms. Our children are being poisoned by the public school system. Their attention spans are being ruined by phone apps. They're being exposed to softcore pornography at the ages of 9 and 10. Many even develop pornography addictions by the time they're 11. Even 20 years ago, 30 years ago, this was unheard of. And in fact, if you even suggested that this would happen, many would have laughed at you and said that you were crazy. Now, we accept it as normal. Our men are no longer men. Our men have lost their testosterone. Our men walk around wearing dresses and skirts. Our men walk around and are no longer doing great things. Instead, they're fat, lazy, and full of estrogen. Men are being taught, and in particular boys in school are being taught that masculine tendencies such as play fighting, playing sports, and being competitive in environments where competition is needed is toxic masculinity. Boys are being told that being boys is racist and misogynistic somehow, and that you need to suppress masculine urges. While our women, our young girls, and our young women in the middle schools, the high schools, the college, are being taught that they need to be the breadwinner, being taught that they need to be the masculine ones. Our country has got it flip-flopped. And as a result, this has destroyed the nuclear family and the home lives of many children. In particular, black and Hispanic children. Over 50% of black and Hispanic children live in single-parent households or have divorced parents. In many cases, many of these people do not even know their father or their mother, particularly their father. The rise of fatherlessness in America has hit the country like a speeding freight train. America sits at a crossroad of cultural degeneracy. Every year, pride parades get more and more degenerate. It is not about gay rights. Now, we have drag queens dancing naked in front of children, and if you dare speak out against it, you are a right-wing extremist who needs to be deplatformed. Our government institutions are being weaponized against political opponents, and in particular Donald Trump. All because he is leading in the polls and may beat Biden in November of 2024. The Biden Department of Justice is going after ordinary people like me and you, who simply do not like the direction this country has taken with degeneracy and economic strife. They're going after ordinary people. And the reason they're going after Donald Trump first is to make an example out of him. That your only defender is gone. Once Donald Trump is prosecuted and behind bars, which is only a matter of time unless he wins the 2024 election, if he does, they will start coming after us in full force. The January 6th prisoners are still being held without trial in DC gulags, where fights, rapes, and other sexual assault incidences are common. We stand at a crossroad when it comes to average income. The average income of the American family is declining rapidly, and pretty soon America's income will fall below countries in Europe, which are not known for their high income. At our current pace, Russia is expected to overtake America in average salary by 2040. If we do not correct course, America is destined to become a third world country, even a second world country among the likes of Mexico, Brazil, China, and the Philippines. We stand at a crossroads with our big cities. America's big cities used to be very beautiful. America had some of the most beautiful cities in the world. Cities like San Francisco with the pretty hillsides and cherry trees. Cities like New York City, big urban areas, sprawling with life and activity. Central Park comes to mind. Families used to dream about moving to these cities, such as Los Angeles, home of Hollywood. Places like Chicago, Detroit, which was once the world's most wealthiest city but within the span of 20 years it became one of the poorest in America. Our cities used to be crown jewels. San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Miami used to be crown jewels. Used to be safe. You used to be able to walk outside in New York City and feel at ease. However, homeless people, and in particular, homeless crackheads, are ruining the big cities. Now, it is impossible to even go in downtown areas of cities like Minneapolis for fear of being stabbed or shot, whether it's by a gang or a homeless person. We sit in a time period where our women cannot go outside alone for fear of sexual assault at the hands of violent criminals, and district attorneys will not prosecute them. They won't even prosecute pedophiles. We live in a culture that is promoting pedophilia, and I fear that within the next 10 years, if the Biden administration is reelected, pedophilia will become legalized and will become a normal part of the American life. It's only a matter of time. They're slowly normalizing things that are not normal. They normalized kids chopping off their testicles and becoming women. They normalized young girls mutilating their genitals and getting a fake penis put on to become trans. Our men are encouraged that if they don't do good in the men's sports, that they can just change their gender and go play among women. Major corporations are too afraid to display white people in their ads, even though America is a white majority country. Corporations are too afraid to hire white Americans for fear of their ESG score being degraded. The rabid environmentalism of the left is continuing its march through states like California, where they're planning to ban gas and diesel powered cars and trucks by 2035. When this happens, California's power grid will experience stress like never seen before. Taking gas and diesel cars off the road is not for the environment. It is to restrict your freedom of movement. It is to restrict your basic freedom to move around your community and move around your state. And it's only a matter of time before you get put in the pods and are told to eat the bugs. Your food is being contaminated with hormones that are making men into women and are making people more likely to be homosexual. And on top of that, our average tax burden is the highest in the world. American citizens are being taxed too much. The IRS intimidates middle Americans and in many cases sends them to federal prison over minor instances and over minor errors in their taxes. But meanwhile, big corporations like Facebook, Google, and Amazon are able to get away with paying less than $10 in corporation taxes, and they don't get audited. None of their CEOs or businessmen get arrested. Why? Because they're in bed with the government. Though we have seen a pushback against all of these things in a lot of red states, they are not the major states in America, and as such will probably not influence a whole lot. That being said, the Republican Party is definitely to blame here as well. The Republican Party is so bitterly divided over who to nominate that I fear that even if Trump is the nominee, which he most likely will be, as the New Hampshire primary is in roughly 14 hours or so, the New Hampshire primary will likely be won by Donald Trump, but at what cost? In the general election, many of the Nikki Haley voters will probably vote for Joe Biden or not turn out at all. A lot of the Ron DeSantis voters may be upset that Ron DeSantis dropped out and as such may spite vote against Donald Trump. The Republican Party is not united. Combine that with the Democrat Party that is dead set on ruining this country for generations to come and bestowing our country upon a cross of globalism. I say this, Americans, choose wisely. Sure, Donald Trump may not be the perfect man. He has a checkered past. However, he is the man who will save this country and help stop the ship from sinking. We need to reverse action on what the past 16 years have brought us. It started with Obama. Actually, it started with George Bush. And it's continued. Rampant cultural degeneracy is poisoning our children, and it's poisoning our nuclear families, and it's poisoning our birth rate. It's poisoned our country. And to top it all off, nobody goes outside anymore. And when you do go outside anymore, everyone is rude. We've lost our identity as a country. And you can thank that to mass immigration, the increase in the liberal idea of empowerment, and as among other things, as well as rampant degenerate sex, which has poisoned our high schoolers. The average age that one loses their virginity is now 13 and a half. That's middle school. That's the seventh. Those are 7th and 8th graders. This is not okay. If you were to tell the average American man in 1960 that the average age one would lose their virginity at would be 13 and a half, you would be thrown in a straitjacket and sent to a white padded room for being insane. You would likely be laughed off. However, those things that everyone would have considered preposterous 50, 60 years ago, things that our grandfathers who fought in World War II to save this country from the horrors of Nazi ideology, as well as the horrors of communism in Vietnam, they luckily, most of them luckily, do not see what is going on now. But they watch from heaven as the country that they risked their lives for is falling apart. We no longer make things in America. Our industry has been shipped off to countries like Mexico, Brazil, Vietnam, China, Japan, India, Pakistan, and Indonesia. Our cars are no longer made in America. And as Trump put it, it used to be the cars were made in Michigan and you couldn't drink the water in Mexico. And now the cars are made in Mexico and you can't drink the water in Michigan. Factory closures throughout the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s brought economic strife to the Rust Belt. But the coastal elites did not care. Now, 2024 is a time for middle America to rise up. It is a time for Americans everywhere, not just middle America, the South, the West, the East, New England, wherever you are, Alaska, Hawaii. It is time for ordinary people to rise up and take back their country. And that starts with a vote for Donald John Trump. If Donald Trump loses, this country will be screwed. And if we let the Democrats secure any more victories in the future, this country will officially be dead. America is in the intensive care unit right now. And one wrong move could cause the country to flatline. Choose wisely, America. This may be your last choice. Your national identity is at risk. Your culture is at risk. Your way of life is at risk. Pick wisely. And if you do not choose wisely, well, you won't have a country. So, America, my message to you. You have a choice between two candidates in November of 2024. Choose wisely.